You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's the Outspoken Network. It's a sportscast brought to you by the Outspoken Network. Your hosts, Brian and Craig. Craig, brother man, how you doing?
Howdy.
It's good to be back, guys. I've been on a little while. Take a little bit of a break. Jeff cannot be on, so excuse him today. We had to get on here talk about all the NFL free agency. We're going to go team by team here and talk about the moves that they have made. And finish with a little bit of opening day baseball excitement. So last night me and Craig went and watched the Stars dominate, so that was fun, getting out and went to Pluckers and watched the Dallas Stars win 4-1. So as they're doing really good this year as well. You can talk a little hockey later too if you want, Craig. All right, there's been a plethora of NFL moves this offseason. A lot of teams are making moves. We've seen quarterback swaps, switches. Cowboys are all in, but they haven't done much. We'll talk about that here a little bit as well. So let's go down the list here. Arizona Cardinals. Let's start down the list. I guess this list goes in alphabetical order. Not much the Arizona Cardinals. We know they're not good. They graded them a C in their offseason so far. What's up, Derpy? Derpy back. Derpy said the greatest free agency news is the Steelers signing Bill Burr as a punter. Interesting. I don't know. I thought that there was some more interesting moves from Pittsburgh, but I'll get to them here in a little bit. Let's scroll on down. Arizona, they're not a factor. Let's scroll on down. Atlanta, and this might be the biggest pickup I think of the offseason. Is Kirk Cousins for Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons, they fired their head coach, Arthur Smith. He wasn't a very good head coach. They get rid of their quarterback. Desmond Ritter's gone. They bring in Kirk Cousins, and this is a bold move for them. I think it's a good move. Kirk Cousins is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL today. I don't think you can really argue that. He's a top 10 quarterback most of the time. But this offense has weapons. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, B.J. Robinson, and they are missing that quarterback. So I think this is going to put Atlanta Falcons put them on the front runners of that division.
I mean, it definitely puts them on the front run of the division. That division is the weakest in the NFC at best, and when you have a solid quarterback, it definitely puts you. I mean, now Tampa's got Baker, so that helps a little bit, but it definitely puts them right in the mix with Tampa.
It definitely does. And this defense last year was, I believe, finished top 10.
Well, I mean, they did better, even with not going back and forth, switching quarterbacks every other week. They were right up until the last week or two up for the division still. I mean, they did better They just didn't utilize a lot of their weapons. Here's B. John Robinson. They draft him in the first round, which was very frowned upon. People don't like taking running backs in the first round, and they moved up to get him, and then they don't use him. It was a very confusing move at best. It's like every time he had a good game, they were like, "Whoop, can't use him for the next 3." So it was very confusing as to what happened.
Yeah, and I think Arthur Smith is one of those guys that is better as a coordinator than a head coach.
We'll find out because he's going to go be a coordinator now.
Yeah, we'll find. Where's it going? Is it Pittsburgh?
He's in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll find
see,
out.
See what Russ does with that.
Yeah. Yeah, Derp. I did not get that joke, buddy. I was trying to think of what Bill Burr looked like, and it went right over my head. So sorry about that. So we went down to the Baltimore Ravens. Their biggest addition was running back Derrick Henry. Now, I mean, I think we can all agree Derrick Henry is on his downside of his career. That's kind of obvious. He's got a lot of miles put on him, but this will help him. This will help this team out. You've got to be able to stop Derrick Henry or stop their running back as a quarterback as well, and Lamar Jackson. Interested to see what he's going to add to the team. And they made someone made a really good point about, Dallas not picking up the phone and calling Derrick Henry. When you sign or when you bring in Derrick Henry to your team, you have to run an offense around Derrick Henry. He can only do certain things. Right. So you have to kind of change your offensive playbook. And at this point in his career, Derrick Henry, I don't know there's a lot of teams willing to do that. And then the Ravens, though, are a team that they run the ball a lot, and it's usually, with their quarterback as anyways. But so we'll see what happens with that. Do you like that pickup for Baltimore and Derrick Henry deal?
Not really, because Henry says he would never go to a team that runs a read option because he doesn't like running it. And he likes to know when for sure he's getting the ball and when he's for sure not. And with the read option, it's a last minute decision. So I'll be interested to see if he can adjust his running style to being the fact where I'm going to put the ball in you, but I may pull it back out, and I'm going to see if the fumbles and the miscommunication, because every time you put the ball in Henry's stomach, he's going to clamp down and think that he's getting it, and so and like you said, 30-year-olds in normal everyday run of the mill life, that's not deal, but in running back years, with over 2,000 carries in the NFL, he definitely showed some of that last year in Tennessee. He did not have the best season. He had that rookie ended up taking carries away from him, and he just didn't have his best season. So I'll be interested to see if he can kind of find the fountain of youth over in Baltimore, or if Lamar, overshadows and they don't mix well together. So it'll be very interesting to see if they can mesh together, and Lamar can trust in him. He's never really had the top of the hill running back, so we'll see what they do over there.
Yeah, Derpy said he's not scared. He's not scared of him. He's too old, especially on the Ravens team. And I thought it was a decent pickup. I don't know if it's going to change the game for them to make them a better football, to put them over the edge type of thing. Derrick Henry last year with the Tennessee, if you're one-dimensional and you're one-dimensional running back with Derrick Henry, it's easy. You load the box up and force them to pass. Now, I know me or you're not big believers in Lamar Jackson passing the football, but we'll see what he does there. We'll see. They lost Gus Edwards, who's a pretty good runner, and they lost Patrick Queen, one of their best linebackers. He's a really good linebacker. He actually went over to Pittsburgh, and then they ended up bringing back their defensive line, Justin Matabuke and Nelson Aguilar. So we'll see. Nelson Aguilar to me is not good, but let's go down to Buffalo. Buffalo gets a C+. They did not rate them very highly. Their key additions were Mitchell Trubisky and Curtis Samuel. And if Mitchell Trubisky is a key addition, he didn't do very good in free agency. I'll tell you that.
I mean, just that's somebody who's not going to play. I mean,
Yeah, he's
so
your back.
he'll never play over Allen, and Allen hasn't had injuries the last few years, so
Yeah.
you really don't expect Trubisky to see the field.
They lost Gabe Davis. They lost defensive end Leonard Floyd. They've lost Naheem Hines, the running back. Safety and Jordan Poyer. They lost some key players. Very
Well, and you
interesting to
still don't
see.
have a running back,
They
which
don't.
is what they've needed. That's been the addition they've needed, was a solid top tier running back. We'll be interested to see if they find one.
They brought back Taylor Rapp and defensive end Esperanza, he's pretty good. But they lost a lot of key players, and I haven't seen much of them do much. So I'm guessing they're hoping to do quite a bit in the draft.
Yeah, I think Gabe Davis is the biggest loss.
Yeah,
that was the deep threat, and there's talk about, the talk about Diggs not being there is getting hotter and hotter because those two just don't get along real well, and so I think you see. Yeah, and I think you see him move before the start of the year, maybe even before the draft.
Trading for some draft compensation.
Yeah, I believe that's where before the draft comes, you'll see Diggs move on, and that's another loss. So now you don't have Davis or Diggs. You better go get. You got some major holes to fill in the draft in the wide receiver spot and the running back spot. So I think Buffalo takes a step back, especially in that division, with Miami and everybody being as strong as they were. That division turned out to be a pretty well top to bottom, deal last year. The Patriots took a huge deal, but mainly the rest of the division took a step forward.
We got and that's true. That's interesting because last year, UConn was kind of a trial to see what the division was going to be, and it turned out we had some really good teams in there. But you think the Bills would be signing some players, all going all in, because this team, like we talked about it last year, they didn't really meet expectations.
No, you either needed to go all in or blow it up,
and looks like they're going to be stuck in the middle again. Not really like the middle where they finish, but they're just going to be that same team that they're going to be good enough to make playoffs, but are they going to be good enough to go all the way?
Maybe. I mean, the AFC is gotten a lot stronger. You got teams like Jacksonville and teams like Houston, and the West was better than you expected over there. If you don't win that division, you might not make the playoffs.
Yeah. Carolina Panthers, absolutely terrible of a team last year. They gave them a C+. They added quite a bit of players. Really, the only one that speaks to me is Deontay Johnson. They traded the Steelers for him, wide receiver. They lost Brian Burns, defensive end. That's a big loss for them. They traded him to New York Giants. This team has got a long way to go, and we'll see. I mean, I'm not really big on their quarterback. I thought he was the best quarterback coming out last year, and in the draft, and I just think that he was a little. It seemed like the NFL overwhelmed him, and he didn't feel comfortable at all. That could be coaching. That could be, the Carolina Panthers front office, and it doesn't seem to be one that I have a lot of confidence in myself. But we'll see if he can make a step forward this year, because this is going to be a big year for him. We need to see him be able to take a next step, make him look comfortable out there, because last year he just looked lost.
Yeah, 100%. He was overwhelmed, and I think you're going to see that again this year with a couple of them that come out in the draft this year.
Yeah. All right, let's move down the list here. Got Carolina. Let's go to the Chicago Bears, and Oh, I love talking about Chicago Bears. They added DeAndre Swift. It's really about it. A couple offensive line safety.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan Allen. He's not even on this list. Is maybe a couple days old. Keenan Allen. They signed him, which is a good pickup. He's been having a little more injuries as of late, but he is a solid wide receiver. The biggest thing in Chicago is they just traded Justin Fields to the Steelers for a 6th-round draft pick. I don't know. I've never been a Justin Fields fan. I didn't think he's going to be that good. He was not great in Chicago at all by any means. He was underwhelming in Chicago. Now people are going to blame Chicago for that. That could very well be the case because Chicago Bears for a long time they've not been able to run a football team. But we'll see. This basically just says, hey, we're going all in on quarterback in the draft. They're probably going to draft Caleb Williams out of USC. And I think he's gonna be a bust. I don't think he's built for the pressure, and in big games in college, he was not really good. He's asking of a lot of ownership. He wants all this stuff done for him. He hasn't played one snap in the NFL. I am not a big Caleb Williams fan. I think he's going to be he's going to be a bust, and I hope he is because I can laugh at the Bears again for drafting a bad quarterback. But also, I love it because the Bears fans are out there saying, "Oh, Justin Fields would be way better than Jordan Love," and you just traded a guy to the Steelers for a 6th-round draft pick.
Yeah,
you gave up
for a stick of bubble gum.
Yeah, you traded you traded a 1st-round draft pick and 3 other picks to get Justin Fields, and he's not good. So we'll see what they can do over there with Pittsburgh, and he got traded to Pittsburgh for Craig said a stick of bubble gum, and he's not even going to be able to compete for the starting position. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny. My buddy Ryan, he gets on here a lot and comments on our show. Well, he texted me some video and he said class. He said that's class because apparently the Chicago Bears, Craig, had 5 other options, all better than what Pittsburgh offered him, but they sent him to Pittsburgh. So Justin Fields, they wanted to do right by him, and he would have the best chance of him playing with sending him into Pittsburgh. And to me, if I'm a Bears fan, that's stupid. Who cares about Justin Fields? Once you trade him, I don't care about Justin Fields. He hasn't been here long enough. He hasn't created a legacy in Chicago. And you're going to tell me you traded him and could have got more back for him to help the team help your team. And you said, I'm going to take a 6th-round draft pick. I think it's stupid business and it's dumb. I understand it if it's a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre that actually have a legacy and is known for being great at what they do. But a guy at Justin Fields has been there a couple years, not good enough for you, and you're going to trade him away and go, well, we wanted to give him the best opportunities, so we took the 6th-round draft pick instead of I don't know, but I don't know if it's all BS, and they're just saying that to make themselves sound good, or they're just dumb. But
well, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a legacy. I think it's they knew they didn't give him the best opportunity. They changed coordinators every year. They didn't really have a lot around him until last year. And then when they did put a solid wide receiver around him in DJ Moore, he had some success with Moore. There were a few different games where he looked better than he had in the past. Honestly, I think the best move they could have done in this offseason after getting Allen and Swift, and they have more, would have been to give Fields another shot. But again, you're under a new coordinator, and that coach is going to be trying to coach for his job every game. I don't know how he's survived as long as he has. But yeah, they didn't do him any favors. I mean, in Pittsburgh, you're never going to to play over Russell Wilson. Now, do they bring in some of the
Wildcat.
offense wildcat deals and let Fields run some of the plays, or when he's in there, does he run some option stuff, and it gives Pittsburgh a little bit of an option, but he's never going to start. But from the Fields standpoint, like I was saying earlier, Russ has only got 2 years left, maybe. He's not, it's not a secret that he's not a young chicken anymore, and he's not going to hang around till he's 40. So Russell Wilson only has a couple years left. If you're Fields, you go learn from a guy who's won some Super Bowls and played pretty well and had a pretty solid career, and see if you can't learn from him. And maybe then after he moves on in a couple years, you take over Pittsburgh and you become the starter. And so, yeah, from that standpoint, I think you could see that it was maybe a good opportunity rather than going to go back up one of these guys that are younger and are going to be around, and you're just going to sit and there's nothing wrong with being a backup. Sam Darnold has made a lot of money. Here in a minute, we'll talk about that. But by bouncing around the league, playing backup, holding clipboards, Sam Darnold has made just an absolute boat ton of money by hardly playing at all. And so there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as your skill set provides the opportunity to continue to do that. And Darnold has gone to that well over and over and over again, and continues to make double-digit $1 million by just holding clipboards. Never have to get hit, and you make a bunch of money. So, I mean, there is a plan.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money being a backup, but Justin Fields doesn't want to be backup. Now, look, I get it. This might have been the best opportunity for Justin Fields, but I think it's dumb for an organization that they're moving on. Who cares? This is business. It's up all the time. It's cutthroat. It's a business. And it would be dumb for them to turn away better offers for them to make their team better, to take a 6th-round draft pick for Justin Fields, the guy they're getting rid of. It doesn't make any sense to me. But that's why the Chicago Bears was the Chicago Bears. And I hope Caleb Williams is a big bust and I can laugh again.
You don't have to hope.
But
you don't have to hope real hard, because it's just,
yeah.
I haven't seen anything to show me any differently.
All right. Cincinnati Bengals, they haven't done really much. They did lose. They traded running back Joe Mixon to the Houston Texans. They franchise tag T. Higgins, which means he's going to be there next year. But when you franchise tag someone, the relationship isn't always the best, right? They take it a little personally. They'll usually say to trade me or whatever. So we'll see. T. Higgins could go somewhere. But Cincinnati Bengals, the biggest thing they're getting back is their quarterback, and hopefully, that will help them out. Cleveland Browns, they go out and they add Jerry Jeudy from the Denver Broncos. They signed quarterback Jameis Winston as their backup. They re-signed Za'Darius Smith. Seems like they're making some moves over there in Cleveland. Jerry Jeudy, to me, Craig, never lived up to the hype in Denver. And I don't know if that is more on Denver or more on him himself. I'm interested to see what he does somewhere else. But these are some decent moves, and Winston's not a bad backup quarterback. Za'Darius Smith's a pretty good defensive end when healthy. And so we'll see what they've done. But what do you think? What do you think they can do with Jerry Jeudy and these moves?
I mean, I think they're still hoping that the quarterback shows up for the money that they paid him, because they haven't had success. The Deshaun Watson signing hasn't actually panned down for him. The reason that they had success this year was, Flacco. I mean, that's where they had the success. Judy, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. He had some good tapes in college and everything like that, and we'll see if he could. I mean, I just don't know if they used him. They didn't have the best version of Russell Wilson when they played in Denver. They thought really that was going to be the move, and it didn't work out for him. But I don't really know. I think there's some good moves. Cleveland's he had some success last year with that, and they were a better team than we thought they would be, and made the playoffs, and so we'll just wait and see. I don't know. Judy just never has been a top tier wide receiver. He's been in the second tier, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think he's the top one. A good top two, but I don't think he's even lived up to that point. And maybe a lot of it is on Denver, on coaching and the ability to use him, but it is what it is. All right, Craig, we're going to talk about your team next, the Dallas Cowboys, and their blockbuster move, Eric Kendricks. That is their key addition. This is made fun of because the whole Jerry Jones all-in comment, and this is your move. You re-sign your long snapper. Yeah. You sign an old running back or an old linebacker. I don't know. I'll let you speak on this one because I'm laughing over here, but I knew this would be the case. I mean, it's nothing new.
Like I said, the Dallas Cowboys owner / general manager is a salesman. And I told you that when he said this, that he said it for one reason. And he has one goal, and that is to keep the Dallas Cowboys at the forefront of all people talking on sports shows, all people's talking on radio shows, on ESPN. And what's the best way to do that? To sit here and say that, make comments like this and say that I'm all in and that this is going to be the off season of the century. And in his mind, re-signing Dak, re-signing Parsons, re-signing Lamb, and hitting in the draft will be his version of being all in, because you had one of the top offenses in football. And so by retaining all those guys and making sure they're here for the next, 5, 6, 7 years, it kind of checks the box. But if you're been a Dallas Cowboy fan for the time that he's been running the show, this is what you're going to get. It's literally dog and pony show. I'm going to say things to keep the team relevant. And he never goes and makes the big moves. My biggest problem with them is they're horrible at negotiating. They're absolutely horrible. They go and they balk at all these, paying these guys money. They wait and wait and wait, and then what do? They end up paying them fair market value. Prescott, Parsons, Lamb, they don't want more than what they're not asking to break the bank. They're asking to go with the next in line. And what you're going to do by waiting, if you wait, guess who's going to sign? Justin Jefferson. And guess what happens when Justin Jefferson signs? You're now going to pay Lamb more than when you would have paid him 6 months ago or a year ago. They should have signed Lamb last year. Parsons should be this year. Dak should have been 2 years ago. He should have never gotten to this point. But now he just had a season where he was number 2 in the MVP voting, and you think he's going to take a hometown discount and take a pay cut to help you out? No. He's going to take whatever the next in line is, which is going to be $50 or $60 million, which is now going to blow you up. It's now going to put you even more behind the 8 ball in the salary cap, to where you have no choice but to hit on the draft. If you decided 2 years ago, you'd have been able to do it for $35 million or $40 million, and wouldn't have had to have this problem. It's the way they run business, and Stephen Jones is now the guy in charge of the cap, and we all know he doesn't like spending money. So you're not going to see anything major unless it just falls in their lap. Unless somebody just says, I want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. That has been a goal of mine for my entire life, is to play for the Dallas Cowboys and have the star on my helmet, and I will take whatever deal that you're willing to give me. Then you're not going to see a big name go over there, because they're just not going to do it. It's just not going to happen.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a joke, and the way Jerry Jones does this, and he always does this.
Yeah.
And Cowboy fans buy it hook, line, and sinker every year. And
I told you this was the deal when he said it.
Yeah, it's an absolute joke, and I think if you're I don't know how the players sit out there and deal with this,
because they know, because they've been through it.
We're all in, and then we don't really go do anything. And look, when you say all in and you want to sign back your own guys, that doesn't. I mean that we get it. They're going to be on your team, but that's not what free agency is about. Free agency is about going and getting players from other teams, and that's what your fan base looks forward to. Oh, who are we going to go sign? What are we going to change? You're going in there with pretty much the same offense except running back, and the same coaching staff pretty much. Except, I mean, you did get your defensive. The only thing y'all did right this off season is the defensive coordinator. I think is going to be good for you guys.
Well,
but it's the same team, and nothing's changed.
Every year, the Dallas Cowboys are in on free agency on day 2 and 3. They've never signed top tier guys. The last top tier player they signed was a defensive back, and they gave him a ton of money, and he was trash. He couldn't cover a fire hydrant. And so I'm good with not, how many of these big names really work out? I mean, the big names this year, the biggest names this year were quarterback. Were you going to go sign Kirk Cousins? Were you going to go sign? No, you weren't. You weren't going to sign any of those guys. There wasn't really a big wide receiver on the market. There wasn't really a big, I mean, I guess if you consider Derrick Henry to be a big name. Now, I just, to me, that's Zeke Elliott all over again. You got rid of Derrick Henry. You got rid of the guy who you burned up a bunch of deals. He was the MVP. He was, leading rusher for years and years and years, and you got rid of him.
See, the problem I have with that, and it's not even that they even sign anybody, is they don't even pick up the phone.
No.
They don't even call.
I mean, the opening side of free agency falls during spring break. And you know where Jerry and Steven are in spring break? They're on the yacht somewhere. 100% every year.
They don't call them. And I'm like, you don't even do. They're like, we do our due diligence. No, you don't, because you didn't call Derrick Henry and see if he would have come to Dallas and take a pay cut to come play for the Dallas Cowboys. You're not calling these big guys. They're going to sign their own players, and they're gonna re-sign their long snapper, and they're gonna expect you guys to buy into that. This is our year again, and it's just. It's laugh. It's something just to laugh at every year. It's fantastic for me. I don't know how you guys can be Cowboy fans. It drives me crazy. The Denver Broncos have an F next to their grade. They got rid of Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy. They are going to be paying Russell Wilson a buttload of money to play for someone else. Their key addition is going to be the quarterback they sign in the draft. I think they've got to go sign a quarterback. I think they love Bo Nix, and I think that's who they're going to go for. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not really big on the Broncos anymore. I thought after they got Russell Wilson, it'd be pretty good. He was such a big flop there. And we'll see what their head coach can do. Sean Payton, and this is not something that's going to help his legacy. Coming in Denver and totally failing is not something that I think he was going to sign up for.
That's the thing that surprises me most is I didn't think that this is what he wanted. Like I think he had some other coaching opportunities before Denver, but he didn't want to go through the rebuild process. So I'm very, very surprised that after 1 year he's blowing it up and going to start over and going through a process that I didn't think that he wanted to go through. I thought at his age and his legacy and his statute is that he wanted to come in and get the team that was kind of the one move away type deal, and really thought that he would try everything he could to keep that team together and just make some tweaks, not just this whole I'm scrapping the whole thing and starting over from square one. I just didn't think Peyton had that kind of time left as a head coach to start over and do the 3 or 4 year major rebuild like it looks like they're going to have to do in Denver now.
They're total rebuild.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long he lasts there with it.
Unless his plan is to kind of set this thing up and then move into the front office type deal and see it through that way, that would be the only thing that makes sense to me, because I just don't think he's going to survive more than 1 or 2 more years on the sideline before he hangs it up and moves on.
All right, Detroit Lions, they get a B+. They signed quarterback Carlton Davis from Tampa Bay. He's a pretty good dude. Pretty good corner. They signed him. Marcus Davenport, defensive end. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is key departure there. He left. Teddy Bridgewater retired. I didn't know he retired. I didn't think he's coming back to the Lions, but he retired. Detroit's going to be a good team. They were a good team last year. The head coach has got them playing well. They're going to be a good team. And we'll see if they can have the same type of success this next season. Let's see.
I didn't realize that C.J. Gardner-Johnson was a 1 year sign. He played really well when he got to play, but he tore the pectoral muscle or the bicep or whatever he tore there, and he missed the majority of the season. So he didn't play, but probably 5 games, including the playoffs, total. So I was very surprised to see him not give the Lions another chance. And
right. Where'd he go? Did he go to the Eagles?
Went back to Philadelphia, yeah. And that's where he came from. And so he has familiarity with that defense and with that coaching staff and everything like that. But I was just very surprised to see that move when he had so much success in Detroit when he did get to play. When he played the 4 or 5 games that he played, he was really good. So I was very surprised to see that, and that was only a 1 year deal when he signed. I thought, normally when you sign free agents like that, you would at least sign them to a couple of years. So I was surprised to see that he was a free agent again and that he went back to Philadelphia.
All right. They gave the Green Bay Packers an A- here. They go out and they get running back Josh Jacobs and safety Xavier McKinney. I think both are good pickups. Josh Jacobs, I'm not completely sold on. My biggest question mark was Aaron Jones. Look, we wanted Aaron Jones to take a pay cut because he missed most of last season. He played 6 games. He was fantastic in those 6 games. The heart of the team, I wish him nothing but the best. We asked him to take a multi-million-dollar contract, a multi-year contract worth $8 million a year. He said no. We go and give Josh Jacobs a $12 million a year contract. You tell me you couldn't just give Aaron Jones that money? You couldn't even offer him $10 million to stay? That's what boggles my mind, because I really like Aaron Jones. He's a fan favorite of mine. He's the heart and soul of the team here. He goes to Minnesota. He will be missed. Josh Jacobs comes in. We bring back A.J. Dillon, which was I thought was going to sign with Dallas. He comes back. I'm not a big A.J. Dillon fan. Xavier McKinney is a good safety in a bad defense over there in New York Giants, and with us losing Savage and Owens, that's a good pickup for us. Bakhtiari we released finally. Good left tackle, but he missed two seasons. We don't need him anymore, and we lost guard John Runyon, who is really good player. But we seem to, I don't know, we seem to have a handful of offensive linemen that usually come in Green Bay, and I'm interested to see what we look like next year with Jordan Love a year under his belt. He looked pretty good in the season, and go from there. But we also lost the $40 million cap hit from Aaron Rodgers this offseason, so that was off our books as well. So interested to see where we go in the draft. I think we probably draft defensive heavily and go from there. But I'm excited for us in the future.
Yeah, I think Josh Jones, I think the reason he gets that is just health relations. I mean, I think he's had more health and more success from being on the field. And I think you need somebody that's going to be there for the longevity of 17 weeks. And I think that's the only reason you signed him over Aaron Jones. So, I mean, it might come back to bite you and it might not. I mean, if Josh Jones is healthy, I think it's at least a wash. I don't think he's any worse than Aaron Jones. But then if he has the season he had up in for the Raiders a couple of years ago, he was a damn near an MVP candidate for a while. So he fell out of love up there and kind of burned his bridge. And I'll be interested to see what he does for you next year.
Yeah. Me too as well. We'll probably draft the running back as well in the draft as well too. But Houston Texans, they got a B+. They had Joe Mixon. They get cornerback Jeff Okudah, which is a good signing for them for the defense. The defensive end Daniel Hunter. They do a lot of defensive guys here. They bring back Dalton Schultz. And they bring back their kicker in Fairbairn. They lost Devin Singletary and Jonathan Greener and Blake Cashman. I don't know, or Blake Cashman. I don't know who it is. Devin Singletary. It's a pretty good running back, but their future's bright there in Houston. I know that.
100%. If you can avoid the sophomore slump for the quarterback, Singletary is just your average, plug-in running back, and he has good weeks, he has bad weeks. But I think in Houston they're moving in the right direction, and that head coach and that quarterback definitely made that team something to be dealt with in the future. So it'll be interesting to see going forward if they can avoid the deals and people looking at the tape and seeing what the quarterback does and what they do in the draft. They just gave away their first round pick. That was a little confusing. But we'll see.
For who?
I'd have to look it up.
Like they made a trade with somebody, gave it away?
Yeah, they made it. Yeah, they made a trade.
Huh. Oh, was it the Joe Mixon?
No. The Vikings acquire the first round pick from the Texans, so the Vikings got it.
Oh yeah, Vikings moved up and got yeah. Joe Mixon will be a good addition there. As long as he stays out of trouble and stays healthy, he'll be a good addition to the running back room over there. Indianapolis Colts, nothing. I mean, Joe Flacco, they lost Gardner Minshew, none the right. I mean, Indianapolis Colts are as irrelevant as the Arizona Cardinals. Jacksonville, they add Mac Jones, which okay. Gabe Davis, which is Gabe Davis is a good one. Darnell Savage from Green Bay. He played really good this season. He's had a couple off years, and then he came out this year and played really, really well. And then defensive tackle Arik Armstead from the 49ers. So, and they've got some they franchise tag Josh Allen. They made some good moves here. I think they didn't keep Calvin Ridley, which was interesting to me.
Yeah,
he was there 1 year. He seemed to play pretty well with your quarterback, and then you don't bring him back. So I would like to see Gabe Davis with Calvin Ridley, but you just have, you brought in Gabe Davis, which is a good pickup, but you lose Calvin Ridley on the back end. And I think I'm on that train, the same train you are, is Trevor Lawrence is not that guy. Not that guy.
Welcome to the club. The Vikings gave up 42, 188, and a second round in 25 to get the Texans' number 23 first-round pick. So I don't know why you'd move off 23 like that, but anyhow, yeah, welcome to the club. I just haven't seen Lawrence do anything that is to make him the guy, but I don't know. We'll see. They got a very good wide receiver. They added the wide receiver this year, and so we'll see what he does with some new offensive talent around him.
I'm just waiting. Like after the year before, when the Jacksonville went on the run and had a really good ending, and they beat the Chargers. They came back from like 5 touchdowns down or whatever to beat the Chargers in the playoff game. I'm going, okay, this is all right. This is the guy. He looks pretty good.
He did have a couple injuries last year where he missed a few weeks. So I mean, maybe the numbers aren't deal, but I mean, if you look at it, Russell Wilson's numbers weren't as bad as his numbers were the same as the guy in San Diego and a few other quarterbacks. So statistically, Russell didn't have the worst season. So I look at it and you just got to watch these guys play and watch what the guys. I think Travis Etienne having a solid running back there, and now you add a top tier wide receiver in Ridley. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the head coach can do over there in Peterson. So, it'll be interesting to see.
Derby, we're on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Talking a little bit about Trevor Lawrence. And look, I just didn't see the consistency of him.
Well, and that's never been a strong suit of his.
Taking that next step, I didn't see it this year, so I'm off that train.
That's always been my complaint. Is Lawrence is just not your top tier guy like they put him up there to be.
The Kansas City Chiefs, they get a B+. We know Kansas City, doesn't matter if they lose everybody tomorrow, as long as they have Mahomes, they're going to be in the Super Bowl. So, they added their key additions were tight end Irv Smith and their punter Matt Ariza. They re-signed Chris Jones and the cornerback Snead and Drew Tranquil. So
when they go
players on defense,
and they go get Marquise Brown, we'll see what Hollywood is. Can Mahomes keep him in check? Off the field and the head case that he seems to be. He seemed to be an okay addition. Dallas worked him out last year, just didn't like what they saw. We'll see if he has anything left to prove or left to add into the fold. So for it's a low risk, high reward, pick. If it doesn't work out, you didn't really risk anything. But if it works out, then you look like a genius. So, and we all know how Patrick Mahomes is about making things that aren't real good look good. So,
yeah. Tired of them winning, damn it. We go to the Chargers. Chargers, they lose Austin Eckler, but they add Gus Edwards. To me, it's kind of an equal kind of switch there. Austin Eckler was couple years ago looked like, man, this guy's an absolute beast, and he has his off year last year, and they signed Gus Edwards, hard rusher from Baltimore. Their biggest pickup of the offseason was obviously their head coach. Interested to see what he can do there in Harbaugh and see if he can bring in his winning ways and get Justin Herbert going, because this guy's got too much talent not to win. The Rams, the Rams. They lose Aaron Darnold. He retires. Absolute beast of a player. Needed 4 guys to hold him, to keep him from getting to your quarterback at times. Yeah. Absolute beast.
Yeah.
One of the best I've seen play the game.
Yeah, and he was going to do this. This really doesn't come as a surprise to me, because technically he gave the Rams the paperwork and they just didn't file it the year they won the Super Bowl. So I think he really wanted out a couple years ago and gave him another couple years. I just think, these guys make enough money these days that they can go do other things. I think you see Aaron Donald is one of the guys that are very smart and articulate, and I think he can go sit in the booth or go, jump on one of these pregame shows or postgame shows and make a bunch of money, or go start a podcast somewhere and make a bunch of money and not have to take the being in a car wreck 38 times or 50 times a game, by being on the defensive line. So I think the concussion deals are really starting to these guys are starting to be aware of this and are starting to be aware of the effects that this game is going to have on them long term, and so they're getting in and they're making their money and they're wanting to get out. And I think that's exactly what Caleb Williams wants to do, by his dad being his agent and saying he doesn't want to sign the 5-year rookie deal. He wants to only sign for 2, and then he wants a big paycheck and I think these guys want to try to get in and capitalize on what the NFL has become, and that is money. You can make a lot of money. You can make it up front, and then you can ride off into the sunset. So I think you're going to see a lot more guys in the near future do the Barry Sanders, and the Aaron Donalds and the plans where these guys are only playing, 5 or 6 years, especially in the running back spot. I just don't think, we all know that those contracts, nobody's signing guys to second and third contracts as a running back. So I think you're going to see them come in and strike while the iron's hot, and then go on to something different. So it'll be interesting to see if you see Donald pop up somewhere on one of these, TV gigs or something like that.
He'll probably do something like that, or create a business somewhere, or put his money somewhere smart.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins, they added a bunch of people. They added Jordan Poyer, defensive end, Shaq Barrett. Tight end Jonnu Smith from Cleveland. I like that pickup. He played really good last year. They added cornerback Kendall Fuller as well. They got a B-. This is a team, a lot of talent. I like their head coach.
Yeah, I love their head coach. He just has a way about him that gets guys to kind of like Campbell, gets guys to run through the wall for him and play really good football, and I think that's going to be a team to deal with here in the near future.
Minnesota Vikings get a C-. Their biggest addition was Aaron Jones. They lost their quarterback Kirk Cousins. They added linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel from Miami, who played really well last year. Kind of an interesting player. He played really well for Miami, but he goes over to Minnesota. They lose Marcus Davenport, Daniel Hunter, linebacker Jordan Hicks, and Kirk Cousins. They're in for a long year. Their quarterback's going to be Sam Darnold. They're going to be a bad football team, Minnesota. And I'm going to sit back and laugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they may go get a quarterback in the draft. We'll see. I don't know if they'll be around, but I don't think the starter is going to be Darnold. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's who they go with.
Well, even if they draft one, I mean, and start him year one, I mean, they're going to be a bad football team. But we'll see what they do. I mean, they made some moves to move up in the draft, so get some more picks. So, New England Patriots, not much here. They re-signed a bunch of their guys. They got rid of Mac Jones. their quarterback's looking right now, Jacoby Brissett. So
yeah, I think they're going to
looking-
draft one too.
Not looking too good there. Neither is the Saints. They got a D. Not really much to talk about there. The Giants got a graded for the B. They added Brian Burns, running back Devin Singletary, John Runyon from Green Bay, who's a good guard. They quarterback Drew Lock. I didn't know he was still around.
That's another one of those guys that are. That's
Yeah.
the one we were trying to think of the other day.
Yeah.
Was Lock, and he's another one of those that are going to make a bunch of money, holding clipboards and backing people up. And he came in Seattle last year and won the one game that he played, So yeah, it's just another one of those guys that are going to be a career backup.
Isaiah McKenzie, a wide receiver. They lose Tyrod Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney. New York
I think your
Jets.
biggest question in the Giants thing is whether Daniel Jones is really the answer, or whether you need to move on from that.
He's not. Once they sign him, and they've killed themselves as far as being a good football team. Did they keep the same coach, or did they fire him?
No, they kept him. They got rid of everybody underneath him, but we'll see how that works out.
The Jets are they got Tyrod Taylor in case Aaron Rodgers gets hurt again. They sign your left tackle that what's his face? Tyron Smith.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith, whatever his face. What is that his name? What's his face?
Tyron.
Which is actually a good pickup. I think he played really well for you last year. So I do like that pickup.
Except for he's you can pencil him in to miss about 6 games though a year. In the 17-game window, you can pick him up to miss about 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
So he's going to miss about a quarter of the season.
Eagles, they got Saquon Barkley. They got an 8 here. Bryce Huff, defensive end. Devin White, which is a good linebacker from Tampa Bay.
Devontae Parker.
Garner Johnson. Key departure is going to be Fletcher Cox. He retired. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, Fletcher Cox retired, and so did Kelsey. So, yeah. I just don't have any faith in that head coach. That head coach is a meatball, and I just don't have any real the chemistry they had, the chemistry problems they had going down the stretch last year. That team fell apart.
Fell off a cliff so fast.
Yeah,
not even funny.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if the talk of the quarterback losing the locker room, and so if that's really the case, it's not going to matter who you sign if you don't have any faith in the locker room and the coaching staff. So if he can't keep that fixed, then it'll be interesting to see.
The Steelers add quarterback Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Patrick Queen's a really good linebacker. Dante Johnson, a cornerback. They lose Mitchell Trubisky. So interested to see what they can do there with Russell Wilson next year. They can turn him around. Sorry if you hear some loud bangings. My kids are taking a bath in the bathrooms right on the other side of my closet wall. 49ers, they add defensive end Leonard Floyd. That's pretty much about it. A lot of defensive guys. No really big names. Leonard Floyd's a good one. The other one's not so much. We know the 49ers, they're going to be competing next year. They're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL and see where they go.
Yeah, that head coach turns nothing into something every year. So
the Seattle Seahawks, they get quarterback Sam Howell from the Washington Commanders, and maybe he can grow there. I think Washington gave up on him too soon. They re-signed
Seattle getting rid of Geno, or are they gonna go with?
Yeah, Sam Howell's is gonna be the backup, but good for him to sit there and learn. A lot of those guys that come in and just play right away, they don't Man, it's been a while since we've seen one that we're
Well,
like,
wasn't exactly
okay.
like Washington had a solid, like everything but the quarterback. Let's just be honest.
Oh, they do have some weapons, but that organization couldn't run
Yeah,
itself
no,
out
yeah,
of
that's
the
what I'm
box.
saying. It's like the Bears. It's just like they continue to
Yeah.
just kind of spin the tires. So we'll see.
Tampa Bay says they added a nobody. Key additions,
Yeah,
NA.
yeah.
They re-signed Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Antonio Winfield Jr., linebacker Levante David. So they re-signed a bunch of their own guys. They lost Devin White, who's a really good linebacker. Carlton Davis, cornerback, Shaq Barrett. So they've lost some good defensive guys, and we'll see. I see what Baker's got next year. We'll see him, see if they compete for the division. Let's see. We got the Titans. They added Tony Pollard, bust.
Good number two. He's solid number two. But
Yeah,
that's
number
that's
two.
what he
But
is.
they added Calvin Ridley. They added Chidobe Awuzie, Mason Rudolph as a backup quarterback, I guess, over there.
Chidobe, I can't cover a fire hydrant. Uzier.
Who's their quarterback? What's his face? Why am I drawing a blank on his face?
Will something, wasn't it?
Will
Lutz or Will Lovitz or
Will Levis.
Yeah.
I thought all in all, for being the first year, I thought he was decent. He made some good throws.
I mean, he was okay. Yeah,
something to work. Well, something to work on. They lose their head
I can't
coach.
believe they gave up. I can't believe they gave up on that deal. I mean, that's almost like a Tomlin 2.0, where he hasn't had really a losing season. And
where did he go?
He's going to be a special assistant somewhere. He didn't get a job. I thought he went to college, but then the other day I see he's going to be some special assistant somewhere. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm very confused on how
I'm still dumbfounded that guy deserves a head coaching job.
Yeah, with all the openings that there were this year, for that not to be a thing was just really surprising.
All right, final team here is the Commanders. They signed a bunch of people. The most people have signed. Austin Eckler, Tyler Biadasz, defensive end Lawrence Armstrong, Zach Ertz.
Cowboys 2.0, courtesy of
quarterback Marcus Mariota. They're going to sign their quarterback in the draft, though.
Yeah.
So
as long as his name's not Drake Maine, we're all right.
Well, you don't want him to get Drake Maine? You think Drake Maine's going to be good?
I do.
Well, I think they're going to get him, right? He's the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, but I saw a mock draft today that said they went with Jaden Daniels, so I'm wondering if they don't like that kid over.
I hope not.
Take the Heisman Trophy winner. That's a good choice.
The guy who we were like, how the hell did he get? How the hell did this guy?
Yeah, who's that? What?
All right, well that's your free agency in a nutshell. There went to each team, gave you kind of their big splashes and not so big splashes, and we're already an hour and 2 minutes in. Major League Baseball, Craig, right around the corner. Opening day is Thursday, March 28th. So I'm excited, obviously, being a Rangers fan after winning the World Series last year, to see what we're going to do this year. Do I think we're going to repeat? I do not, but we should be competitors. And with us, it's more where this pitching staff is going to be, because we're waiting for our guys to get healthy. Injury bugs already hit us this season and hasn't even started yet. So interested to see what we do. But really excited here for baseball. Really excited.
Yeah. Little surprised that you still got 2 or 3 big names out there. This free agency has been very confusing in guys wanting the big money and teams not wanting to give that kind of money. The Blake Snell market seems to be down to 3 teams. one just added themselves into the mix as of yesterday because Urquidy got hurt. So the Astros are now kind of in on the Blake Snell deal. That might affect you down the stretch. The other two teams are out west, and that's the Los Angeles Angels and the San Francisco Giants. I don't know if the Giants are in on him or not. I would say no because the GM keeps saying they're done, but yet their name keeps being thrown into this hat everywhere you read that they're in on Snell. Blake Snell's really weird because he wants to back up the Brinks truck and get paid all this money, but if you look at Blake Snell's just overall career, he's had 2 good seasons, and that was the seasons he won the Cy Young. Anything other than that, and he's average at best, 3 and 4 and 4.5 ERA, and 12, 13 wins and 170, 80. If you're going to sign a guy to that kind of money, you want him to go over 200 innings. You want him to be deep in every game. You want him to have an ERA between 2.5 and 3, and Snell just doesn't have that except for, now he did last year. I mean, and again, these guys, you always see it going into the free agency year, going into the payday year, they have a good season. Jordan Montgomery, he went and was one of the major contributors in the Rangers winning the World Series. And here he is still sitting out there. And I think he wants to capitalize on what he did.
Come back to Texas for a 1-year deal. We'll take care of you,
But I think that's what you're going to end up seeing on both of these guys. Both of these guys, I think you're going to see, 2 or 3 year deals. Matt Chapman just signed a deal, 3 years, $54 million, but it has opt-outs all throughout it. And I think you're going to see something like that to get these guys off the deal. My concern is, what are we, 15 days? And nobody's thrown a meaningful, I don't think they're going to be on the roster. They're not pitching game 2. If they don't, so I understand nobody gets super stretched out, but I mean, at this point in time, you should be able to go 5 innings or 6 innings. And I don't think Montgomery or Snell can do that. I mean, I understand throwing off the back seat. I'm sure they're in Arizona somewhere throwing off, deals, but they're not facing live hitters. They're not doing any of that. And so there's only so much you can do from the house. There's only so much you can do from the facility in which you're training at. So I'm very shocked that here we are, when the Yankees ace goes down the other day, when Cole goes down, says he's going to miss 2 months, thought it was a no-brainer that Snell would be the next thing to drop. And they basically said, we're done talking to him. We're not, and if you look, the common denominator in all these guys are the agent. That, that guy always wants the money. It's all about all his clients are it's just very interesting. So I'm excited. The Giants made a couple signings that I didn't see coming, in Chapman and Soler. So it might be for the first time since they had a guy named, Barry Bonds. Somebody hits 30 homers for the team. That'll be interesting to see if that goes along. Kind of took a long shot on a starter that for the Blue Jays has been a long reliever, and now they're going to throw him into starting, and Jordan Hicks. So Snell would be a very good addition because, Robbie Ray is going to miss most of the season due to his injury, and the other guy had hip surgery, and even though he's ahead of schedule, he still won't be ready for opening day. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do. But yeah, baseball's my favorite of all time, and I can't wait for the last week of March and the first week of April to start seeing games that are meaningful.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's gonna be the show tonight. We are an hour and 8 minutes in. Craig's got to get some sleep for work tomorrow.
Yeah, some of us are on
Oh.
vacation. Wouldn't know anybody like that. Wouldn't know anybody that had that, would they?
Oh, excuse me.
If you know that guy,
Oh,
let me know.
that guy. All right. Well, let's finish up with what's in your locker. What's in your locker, Craig? For what have you been up to?
I'll tell you what's in my locker. A week by myself at the office. That's no 1 to 11 this week. Yeah, it's gonna be 1 to whenever Brian should be there. But other than that, no, we're just getting ready for baseball, and just that's about it, really. What about you, Brian? What's in your locker?
All right. Thanks for asking, Craig. Not a whole lot. I'm on vacation this week. I feel bad for you, Craig. I got a medical procedure Tuesday. I gotta go to the dentist at some point. I've got my daughter is going to middle school next year, so they're doing a trip this year, and it's Thursday and Friday to some camp up north here in Texas, and they're spending the night, and I'm going to be a chaperone for that, so I'll be gone Thursday and Friday doing some camping and some hiking and archery and canoeing, maybe some stuff like that with her, which would be fun. Fun experience there. I'm going bowling next weekend for Logan's birthday, so got some things planned here and there, but really just kind of staying home for the most part of it. I went out to my good friend Andrew's house today. They're having build out in Argyle, and awesome. He's got some land out there. We went out and toured it today. It was pretty awesome. So I'm just trying to get the other podcast started. Kind of waiting on Jeff to get some graphics up for it. So when it's getting closer, I'll announce that podcast and go from there. But got some exciting things there in the mix, and looking to continue this one as well, obviously. And other than that, Craig, that's all I got in my locker. Jeff will hopefully be on this next week as sports kind of continue to take off. March Madness is here, but I'll catch a game here or there. I'm not a big fan. I don't ever, won't see me doing the filling out the brackets. But other than that, Stars look really good, and hopefully they go all the way this year. Fingers crossed. As hockey's coming to a close on the regular season, so able to watch them last night. Honor Mike Modano for the Dallas Stars, and put a statue out in front of the stadium, kind of honoring Mike Modano and what a great player he was. So that was kind of cool to watch and watch with you at Pluckers last night. Other than that, guys, that's all I got for you this week. God bless, and remember,
Keep it outspoken.